The renewable diesel industry has grown rapidly in recent years, creating new demand for soybean oil as feedstock. Today, we're looking at how soybean processors responded to this change, the new efficiencies they've achieved, and what they mean for the future of soybean demand. I'm Joe Janzen, agricultural economist at the University of Illinois, and this is a 5-minute farmdoc. We'll explore analysis recently published on farmdoc Daily about recent changes in soybean oil extraction rates and their role in responding to the renewable diesel boom. Beginning in late 2020, renewable diesel production expanded significantly in the United States. Renewable diesel offers advantages over traditional FAME biodiesel because it can be used in existing diesel engines without modifications, making it attractive to fuel companies and regulators focused on reducing carbon emissions. The growth in renewable diesel production created substantial new demand for soybean oil, which became one of the most common feedstocks for renewable diesel. More soybean oil demand has an obvious response: build more crushing plants and process more soybeans. And that's exactly what many companies started doing. Soybean oil production, which has steadily increased over time, kicked into overdrive as new crush plants came online. Since October 2020, U.S. soybean oil production has been 23 million pounds per month above long-run trend. However, soybean processing presents a challenge. When you crush more soybeans, you produce both soybean oil and soybean meal in relatively fixed proportions. Increasing oil production traditionally meant crushing more soybeans, which also increased meal. But what if meal demand doesn't keep pace? Building more crush capacity takes years to build new facilities, costs hundreds of millions of dollars, and you still end up with this soybean meal surplus problem. One solution is to wring more oil out of the crushing process. While industry benchmarks operate on established assumptions about extraction rates, 1 bushel of soybeans yields 11 pounds of oil from every 60-pound bushel, 18.3%. Long-run trends indicate a shift towards more oil, less meal, and less waste from the crush process. But recent data suggests these trends became stronger during the renewable diesel boom. We analyzed monthly data from the National Oilseed Processors Association and found notable changes in oil extraction rates. Starting in late 2020, coinciding with renewable diesel growth, soybean oil extraction rates began consistently exceeding historical trends. The data shows extraction rates increased from about 19.5% to consistently reaching 20% or higher. Since October 2020, soybean oil extraction rates have been on average 0.2 percentage points above the long trend. While this appears to be a relatively modest change, the scale of soybean processing means these improvements translate into substantial additional oil production. To put this in perspective, in July 2025 alone, processors crushed 11.7 billion pounds of soybeans. The observed 20.0% oil extraction rate was 0.4 percentage points above long-run trend. This additional oil meant an extra 44 million pounds of soybean oil from the same amount of soybean. Our research aggregates these impacts and finds approximately 30% of above-trend soybean oil production since October 2020 was the result of improved oil extraction efficiency, rather than processing additional soybean. In the early part of this period, when crush capacity growth was more constrained, all of these new crush plants had yet to come online. This effect was proportionally larger. Squeezing more oil from the crush is a significant part of the industry response to increased demand. Rather than relying solely on expanded capacity, processors have found ways to optimize existing operations and extract more value from the same raw materials. This efficiency improvement raises important questions for the industry's future. We note that recent EPA rulemakings may drive further growth in renewable diesel production. Processors will consider the potential for further extraction optimization and capacity expansion. There are likely physical limits to how much additional oil can be extracted from a soybean. However, understanding the scope of additional extraction improvements and the timeframe over which they can occur will be important for industry planning and for market price dynamics. Our research provides some insight into how agricultural industries adapt to changing market conditions in the face of real constraints. The soybean processing sector's response to renewable diesel demand growth demonstrates how efficiency improvements can complement capacity expansion Thanks for watching this video analysis of recent developments in the soybean crush. I'm Joe Janzen from the University of Illinois, and this has been a 5-Minute Farm Doc.